The world is a mystery. Beneath every direction, beneath every piece of land, a story is buried. Some stories get lost in the journey of time, but their echo remains in the human mind. Today, we're going to talk about those cities that were once shining stars in history, but then disappeared so completely that now they live only in conversations between friends, in headlines of books, and in the gatherings of tales. Atlantis, Pompeii, Dorado. 3 cities, 3 civilizations, 3 mysteries that shook the very foundation of human thought. Atlantis. Its first mention came in the words of Plato. Plato was a famous Greek philosopher, born in 427 BC. He is considered one of the greatest thinkers in history. He deeply studied politics, philosophy, and human nature. But the most astonishing thing is that Atlantis was first described by him in his books Timaeus and Critias, where he wrote that Atlantis was a highly advanced civilization, but due to its arrogance, it fell victim to divine punishment. He said it was a city built in the middle of the ocean, a place where harmony existed between man and nature, a center of progress, science, and power. Bridges, buildings, so magnificent, they amazed the people of that time. According to Plato, the people of Atlantis were highly advanced. They had knowledge of geometry, and they had even begun to understand the hidden forces of nature. But behind every advancement hides a terrifying truth: pride. The people of Atlantis began to see themselves as superior to the gods. And then one day, everything changed. A great oceanic storm rose. Waves began to crash against the city's walls. The ground started to shake as if something inside it was breaking apart. A terrible earthquake struck, and within a few hours, the entire city disappeared into the sea. But the destruction of Atlantis could also be just a story told by Plato. Some say it was merely an allegory, a lesson in the consequences of arrogance. But then, in different parts of the world, we find remnants that resemble Plato's descriptions. Beneath the Mediterranean Sea, strange shapes and maps appear that seem to confirm the existence of Atlantis, but no concrete evidence has ever come forward. Atlantis, a city that either never existed or still hides from the human eye. But there are some cities whose existence we have seen. Cities whose destruction is still etched in stone. Pompeii, located in Italy's renowned Campania region, a beautiful city near the sea. Lush green lands, gardens filled with flowers, buildings marked with Roman art, and lives blooming within. It was part of the Roman Empire, where trade, culture, and society were thriving. People were educated, markets were colorful, and civilization was flourishing. It was the year 79 AD. Like every morning, people were busy in their daily lives. Merchants displayed their goods in the markets. Women fetched water from the wells. Children play. Poets wandered aimlessly, and places of worship were alive with worshipers. But near this city, a force of nature was slowly rising. Mount Vesuvius, a silent volcano, calm for centuries, was quietly building its fury. People had grown used to its presence. No one thought that this silence could be a warning of a coming storm. And then came the day. August 24th, 79 AD. It was morning when suddenly Mount Vesuvius erupted with rage. A violent explosion. As if the Earth's chest had been ripped open, black ash, poisonous smoke, and fire rose into the sky. A volcanic fury, as if wrath itself had descended. The first moments, people didn't understand what was happening. Homes began to shake, walls cracked. People tried to flee, but ash and stones were raining down. The next moment, breathing became impossible. Smoke so thick it turned day into night. And then the pyroclastic flow came. A storm of superheated gas over 700 degrees C that burned everything to ashes. Every person, every animal, every building frozen in time. Mount Vesuvius buried the entire city in just 24 hours under 6 meters of ash and lava. The city disappeared beneath the ground. Time passed, centuries went by, and people even forgot the name Pompeii. But then, in 1748, some workers digging the land found strange shapes. Slowly, excavations began, and Pompeii began to reappear. And this reawakening was not limited to a few walls or structures. It was the revival of an entire civilization, reborn after centuries. Inside Pompeii, everything remains as if time itself stopped. Homes, beds, bread in ovens, colorful frescoes, poetry on the walls. Pompeii is not just a city. It is a picture of time. It is a lesson, a testimony that when nature gets angry, human progress, architecture, art, and culture, all of it returns to dust. Pompeii teaches us how fragile human life is, and how time turns everything into a mere dot in history. Even today, when people visit Pompeii, they don't just see stones, they feel the moment. They hear the silence. That silence which spread across the ground after the destruction. A city that was once buried beneath the earth is now alive forever in history. And then there's El Dorado, a city whose name itself feels like a dream. A place trapped between history and legend. No one ever saw it, no one touched it, yet for centuries, people gave their lives searching for it. El Dorado means the Gilded One, a man covered in gold. The legend says that in South America, among the Andes Mountains, there was a tribe where gold was as common as stone. Stones gleamed with gold. A city that possessed so much gold, every single stone sparkled. It is said their king would coat his entire body with gold dust and bathe in a sacred lake. When the Spanish conquistadors heard these legends, their hearts filled with greed. Searches began in every direction. The dense jungles of the Amazon, rivers, mountains, all were scoured. But the city was never found. Many people lost their lives in its pursuit. But El Dorado never revealed itself. Even today, in the Amazon jungle, strange carvings, ancient maps, and tribal stories still float between belief and doubt. Was El Dorado real? Or was it just another name for human greed? Or perhaps a misunderstood story of a hidden civilization? Some believe El Dorado was never truly a city, but a misinterpreted ritual of the Muisca people, who vanished under the weight of colonization, disease, and conquest. Their culture was buried, and with them, perhaps, the secret of El Dorado. Modern science, using satellite imagery and LiDAR technology, has found traces under the Amazon, of settlements, of roads, of something once vast. But is that El Dorado? Or just another lost chapter in our long-forgotten history? Atlantis, Pompeii, El Dorado. 3 cities, 3 stories, 3 truths. 1 city drowned in the ocean, 1 burned in a storm of fire, and 1 vanished in the jungle of human desire. These cities are not just history, they are mirrors. Mirrors that show us where human progress, power, and greed can lead. Perhaps they also teach us this: every new city, every new civilization, if it forgets its limits, may already be walking the same path to ruin. History is not just the tale of the victors. It is also the collection of those who were lost, their cities, their warnings, their silence. And as long as human thought exists, the echoes of these cities will rise from their dust, echoing in legends, glowing in gold, roaring in fire, and whispering in the stillness of time.